Hi guys, I think this is like the eighth time I've filmed this video, and it's to talk about my life, because this is to journal for my mental health. That I'm not saying that I'm particularly struggling with right now, but it's just like, why not? Journaling is good, apparently. So I'll try it out. And I write enough essays on my own about the most random shit. In fact, let me pull out my notes right now. I will rapid fire you some random shit from my notes, and I'll show you why I don't want to write more notes in journal on my iPad. Brain Rot Grenade by Bruno Mars. Goals for 2026. Have my firstborn child. Write a book. Stay in a gay relationship for 2 weeks. And, what else? I wish I never had a penis. True story. Bro, like, why do I have a penis? It's fucking frustrating. Like, it's so high maintenance, for fuck's sake. I wish I was a human that didn't have a penis. Wait, when did I write this? Oh, it's not even that far away. Wait, this is like not that distant. It's actually pretty recent. Yeah, see, like, I would never tell people that I've written this in my life, but apparently this is how I journal. So, yeah. And that's kind of depressing. So, I actually had a couple notes prepared for what I would want to talk about in this video. So, we'll begin with the ability to move on. Now, when most people ask about what I mean when I talk about moving on, a couple of things come to mind, but the one that is spoken about the most is about relationships. And if you know me, that's probably what you're thinking of, but I'm here to tell you, it's everything. You can move on from a relationship. You can move on from someone who's passed away, to moving on from a distant memory of a good time. For example, high school for all the super seniors out there who's trying to return to school. But as a whole, it's moving on from the past. Now, that's a bit no shit, but for a lot of people, that's actually quite difficult to understand. And when I say for a lot of people, I really just mean myself and maybe some other people who are willing to admit it, but I noticed that I only started maturing as a human being towards the most recent of times, like 2025 onwards. So past year, I've only started to mature for the past year, which isn't great, but at least we got there somewhere, and we're still not there yet, because let's be honest, if I literally, in my notes, I'm talking about like a segment that I don't want to bring up, which is my severe disdain towards Kai Cenat. But we'll be onto that like later, because right now let's talk about the ability to move on. As a guy who's experienced most forms of needing to move on, I have noticed that most people are afraid to move on because they're afraid of losing what they already have. Right? With a relationship, it could be, oh, it was going so well in the past, but now it's horrible. And I don't want to leave it, because what if it's able to get back to where it used to be. We'll leave it now because who knows? Fate could have it as one day you'll be back together and it will be better than ever, but that's unlikely to happen, let's be real. Or we can talk about high school, where people go like, oh, I don't want to graduate because this was the time of my life and I've peaked and I'll never be able to get back to my social status outside of high school. Well, time flies, and I'm sure there are much more things that you can look forward to that isn't to do with school or friend groups, where you feel like these people are the only people I have. I'm nothing without them. I will never be able to move on without these people. Well, you gotta understand that sometimes fear can be a teacher, that makes you learn many things. And I'm about to do a millennial pause, what the fuck, okay. But you learn that the worst thing that can happen, you've already thought about. So once you're able to embrace that, try it out, and it can't get any worse. And I doubt it's the worst thing you can think about, because when I was thinking about like what was the worst thing that could happen when I left my friend group, the worst thing that I can think about was like 3 fucking silverback gorillas just mauling my fucking organs open and shit like that. But clearly that didn't happen. Well, you see me right here, so didn't happen. But well, since I only have 10 minutes to sum it up, moving on is one of the scariest things I've ever done in my life, even though I've done it so often. Because we can talk about relationships I've had to move on from, friend groups, high school. I don't think I peaked in high school, because I never really did anything in high school, right? To friend groups, or I think I already said that one, or a loved one that has passed away. Because for me, it's been friends and family that has left. And to be honest, after moving on from those, I'm still scared to move on from everything, because it's just not that easy. But the more you learn, you realize everything has to end eventually. And when one thing ends, another thing begins. And usually, the newer the better, so great things can happen. You find better friends that actually care about you, and that sounds extremely depressing to say. Or you find comfort in being alone, which I think I have for now. Who knows? Give it 30 days, I might just be crying into someone's Insta DMs going like, hey baby girl, you trying to be my wife? Nah, shit like that. Nah. Or I could still be beating myself up because I wasn't there to see a loved one die, you know? I wasn't there for them when they needed me. But I can still beat myself up over that, or I can actually do something to make up for that. Which I'm not saying I've actually like, abandoned someone while they were dying. No, that's not what I did. No, I'm just using a common example that I usually read in like books and shit. Well, we're about to reach 10 minutes, but I still want to talk about Kaizenat. my severe disdain towards Kaisenat. I think he has got to be the reason why Gen Z is the first ever generation to be stupider. See, I'm using the word stupider, more unintelligent than the previous generation. Because when we think about Kaisenat, we think about the damage to the youth that he's caused. Let's think about the vocabulary that he's introduced to our society. Gyat. No, not skibbity. Gyat, Riz. God did. And the other shenanigans that he's brought. Because quite frankly, this guy is just not that funny. Alright? If you're actually tuning in every day to watch a Twitch streamer get 30 and repeat the same lines and eat food, I just have to say one thing. Get a fucking life. Get a grip, mate. Like, seriously, if you're watching Kaisenat, there's something wrong with you, okay? Like, there's no way. I don't know a single person that actually actively tunes into Twitch streams and donates and fucking screams, yeah, Riz, and shit like that. But he's just not that funny. And he's corrupting the youth. Because so many of these people are wasting their time to, like, educate themselves with the fun associated with watching a Mafia Fun stream with Tyler doing his dance and, like, phantom taxing and shit like that. You know, you can't tell me that hanging out with your friends is not as fun as watching Phantom break another door and taxing Kai or Ray's food, you know? Like, you can't tell me that's actually fun to watch. And that brings me to my end of my rant about Kaisenat. Now, I would like to say what I would like to have in the future. That's another segment I wanted to talk about. I hope within 2026 I am able to find happiness. Again, I'm not saying I'm depressed, but I want to be happy with who I am as a person. And I'm not asking for anyone for help, although someone cheering me on or checking up on me would be pretty nice. But I'm just saying that I want to improve myself before I go back into other people's DMs going like, hey, will you be my Valentine's Day? Maybe it's because Valentine's was recent, or like it's Chinese New Year's Eve, so like maybe that's like an emotional time for me. But I think I would love to be able to make some new friends. I want to be able to be happy with myself, so that really depends on myself. And I really hope that this god-awful hair can disappear, because what the fuck is that? Like, seriously, what is going on? Okay, but that's about it for what I would like to say when it comes to what I would like to have in the future, because I can't really predict anything. I just wrote that down because I thought that'd be something easy to talk about. And I got one final segment that my friend told me to talk about, which was what I did in my day. Well, considering it's 2 a.m., I haven't really done much, but I'll talk about the day before. Yesterday I was out with my family, and it was Valentine's Day actually. I think, no, today's the 16th. Okay, the day after Valentine's. I had lived in the countryside in China for the 4th day now. Well, now it's my 5th day. And I saw these kids on the street buy their family members gifts like fruits for Chinese New Year. And I was pretty inspired by that. So, knowing that I have an 85-year-old grandmother at home with dementia, I felt like it was the right thing to do to partake in Chinese tradition for like the first time, since I'm just so Chinese. So I bought my grandma 2 dragon fruits, a bunch of bananas, and a bunch of oranges, which was on accident, by the way, because I wanted to buy 在中文 I'm not gonna explain this in Chinese. So there's a type of mandarin, and it's called 砂糖橘子. And they're these tiny little mandarins, and they're really sweet. And 砂糖 is like a type of sugar, so it's implied that the mandarin itself is extremely sweet like the sugar. And I had initially planned on getting that for my grandma, but my dumbass got them confused with oranges, so I accidentally bought like a whole box of oranges on accident. That cost me like $80, so don't know why I did that. I should have been smarter. But my grandma was happy either way, because I think she was just happy that her grandson had came back after high school to bring her gifts and talk to her. I'm not emotional over this. I'm just like, I'm trying to think about what actually happened yesterday. After that, I went to the shopping center in a t-shirt and some jeans. Why does my outfit matter? Because it was 2 degrees that day, 2 degrees Celsius. And I was wearing t-shirts and jeans. I don't know why. So it was really cold, so I went to the shopping center to buy some clothes. And, yeah. That's about it. All I have to say about clothes and my experience at the shopping center. Why would you tell me to speak about my day? My day is not interesting enough to speak about. Afterwards, I went to the gym. I trained chest and buys and tries. Don't know why I didn't do shoulders. I think it's because my shoulders were already sore. But I usually do shoulders and back, chest, buys, tries, and then legs once a year. But no one cares about that. Who wants gym advice from me? I'm like small as shit, bro. Okay? Well, no, I'm fat, but like, no, I have like no gains. Come on. But that's funny to speak about. After the gym, I drove on a e-bike called the Dianpingche around China in the countryside, which was kind of melancholic and eye-opening, to say the least. Good experience. And that about sums up my day. And it is now 2:08 a.m. and I've almost doubled my time that I initially planned on, which was 10 minutes. But to be fair, I was initially going to make a 30-minute video. It's just I had no idea whether I was actually able to talk for that long. So thank you for listening to me rant, if there's anyone who actually watched the full 20 minutes. Because if you did, I'm very thankful for that. It's good to know that someone cares about what I have to say. Because I don't think many people would. I talk about some really stupid shit. If you tuned into my recent second account post on Instagram, it's always been about like fucking like it's been about like pet poisoning in the countryside and like living a farm life and depression. So there's not much to speak about, and I don't know why anyone would want to listen to this. So thank you for watching my video, and I hope you guys enjoyed to listen to what I had to say. Whether it's someone I actually know or some random bot on YouTube or some random 5-year-old Indian kid from like fucking New Delhi. Thank you for watching, and I'll try make another video as soon as possible. I was thinking of daily, but I don't think I can do that now that I've actually tried to make a video. And I've been talking for way too long. Thank you.